Right. Let me finish this mouthful.
What are your thoughts, Carl? Yeah.
We are very hungry for Hungary. Hey guys, welcome back to Final Sector and to our preview for the upcoming Grand Prix in Hungary. This one is going to be a doozy. Normally a track that on paper actually looks really boring, and yet it kind of works out to be not bad for a track that looks like it should be like what people call almost the road version of Monaco, which doesn't make it sound that good.
Yeah.
But it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one to get right. It often means you can do a lot of different strategies. Traffic can matter a lot. But you can pass here, and kind of different cars and their strengths can really come to fruition here. I mean, look, we've got a lot to get into. We're not going to mess around. But
straight into it.
Hungary, heading into it. What's your biggest takeaway for everything coming up? I wonder what he's gonna. What's the big news? What's happening?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. There hasn't been like that much big news, I don't think.
No.
I guess Ricciardo's back in and De Vries has been
canned.
That's
but
pretty
you know,
big,
Piastri's our boy now anyway.
Yeah,
so some stinky Perth man. Get out of here. We don't need you anymore.
We had you for years, and then you left.
You let us down.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the big news, really, isn't it? Like, it's going to be fascinating to see how well he does. I mean, this is something I don't want to talk too much about it. Again, this is probably another talking point for our mid-season break podcast. By the way,
and there's a lot of people talking about it out there. If you want to go listen to the race, whoever to talk about it in depth, go for it, right?
Exactly. But yeah, if you have any other topics for that, again, let us know. We've got like 3 hours worth of content at this point, so
easily.
Very fascinating to see how he does. I think particularly being in the Red Bull family as well, you know, he was obviously always strongest in the Red Bull car and Toro Rosso as well, which is obviously how we got his call up in the first place.
And the HRT, let's bring them back.
I guess so. Particularly with Alpha Tauri or whatever they're going to be called, they're looking to become more in line with Red Bull as well.
Yes.
I think it's the car's probably going to suit him better than maybe the McLaren did, maybe even the Renault did, I think. But you know, you never know. That car at the moment it's a bit trash. They are bringing upgrades, so maybe it'll be a little bit better. A lot of teams are bringing upgrades, actually. Yeah,
that is almost one of the second biggest points here is upgrades, and particularly they're saying for Alpha Tauri, it's one of the biggest upgrades for both cars as well. So it's not like just Yuki or just Daniel's getting them. It's
both cars.
It'll be a good test of that car, and to be honest, the perfect weekend to see how he can do, right?
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
A new upgrade, and obviously. Well, I say obviously, he's kind of like the Red Bull reserve. I'm not saying that because he's done like testing for AlphaTauri, but he may have. So
it's possible.
It depends if he's going in kind of like blind with these upgrades, you know. But it's no secret that these upgrades are going to make it look a bit more Red Bully, right? So from that perspective, if he's been doing a lot of work in the Red Bull simulator, which he has, and which is part of the reason, obviously, they've given him this drive. You know, he did a minor test, a kind of tyre test at Silverstone, which was, I guess, the final call that Red Bull needed. They liked what they saw and they put him in. He'd still have to put in the hard yards in the simulator. If he looked like crap there, they're not just going to put him in, right, as a risk here. So, yes, but he is back, so it'll be interesting. I guess, we can break it down later, but a bit of a somber note for De Vries. It's no secret we both really hoped that he would do well and we're backers of him, so it's really a shame, but it is what it is.
Especially for us. We're the ones that are really hurt by this, you know.
Yeah. Yes. With our Dutch heritage and everything, of course.
Of course, yeah.
You mentioned other cars have upgrades. I think, am I right in saying that I think Red Bull as well have a sizable upgrade, they're saying? There's rumours, I don't know if it's just rumours, but 2/10
I've seen that
thrown around.
I've seen that everywhere, and I've also seen a little bit more that they're actually doing their side pods they're actually making them a little bit more Aston Martin-y. Like they call them the wave side pods or whatever. So Red Bull is still they're finding things from Aston. Aston are obviously pretty notably quick through the slower stuff and on acceleration and things like that. Or particularly this, I would say the slower slower corner downforce things. Aston have been very good at.
Yes,
it's going to be very critical for this track to be able to get that right.
Certainly.
So to be able to take a little bit of a little bit of designs, a few designs from the Aston Martin car, which is typically strong with that, is obviously the right thing to do. So, and it shows they are still developing the car, despite the fact that I mean, even
they're
I
so
thought,
far
yeah,
ahead,
they're so far
so
ahead.
not
And,
switched over.
Yeah,
Yes.
so,
Yep.
But from what I saw, it's like, I think McLaren Piastri now has the same upgrade package as Norris now. So they're both
was
running
missing
the
that
same
little
things.
bit,
He was
but,
leading a little bit, yeah. So that's obviously positive for Piastri now as well. I'm sure other teams have brought upgrades. I didn't really delve too deep, but I think it is a fascinating one because of all the slow speed corners. I think it's very, very different from what we've had the last few race weekends.
That's the thing, yes. Even if teams may not bring necessary upgrades, they may bring a different package, right? Yep. So like different rear wing configurations that naturally they would bring as a different kind of package for the car to work here, but it may still be something unique that we haven't, actually seen on the car at somewhere like Monaco. They might have learned a few lessons from that, right? Teams like Mercedes, I think, might be interesting, considering they launched their new package in Monaco. But it certainly makes predictions tricky, but we'll go into that in a little bit. I guess there are even a few more little bits of news that have come out.
Still more,
They're actually testing a new qualifying format this weekend in a bid to increase sustainability, reduce emissions and such. If you remember, for I believe it was the Austrian Grand Prix, they actually ran on a completely different source of energy, renewable source, to try and reduce the amount of energy they use by 90%. And they're taking lots of other actions, of course, where they can to continue to move down that trend. Of course, these are, race cars and freight and everything uses a lot of energy consumption and pollutants and such. So one thing they've found is, for the tires and how it will work for the weekend. So for the whole weekend, they'll go down from 13 allocated sets to 11 sets. And the main change on the actual track is for qualifying, where for the first session, you'll only be able to use the hard, and then for the second session, the medium, and the third session, the soft tire. So it's a general bring down of the tires, but then you're going to use less of those medium softs in quali, so you still should end up in the race with about the same kind of tires with the same kind of use they've had before.
Yeah,
so
it was supposed to be at Imola, I believe, before that was cancelled. I think that's where we were supposed to see it first.
Because I remember seeing this, and I went, didn't we already go to this? I'm like, no, they pushed it back. Yep.
Well, not so much pushed it back. I think it was just supposed to happen at Imola, and then it just didn't.
Yes, because it didn't happen. Because this is just a preview. They're actually seeing how it works.
Yes. Yeah, and then
I think at Monza they want to trial it a second time, and then they'll review for implementation next year. That's right.
Correct. Yes. So, but I think I was reading an article of, I want to say it was James Vowles was talking about it, and he was talking about how he was obviously interested to at least try it out. They're still not 100% convinced. I don't think anyone really is, but it is, at least team principals are still interested in trying it out. He's not sure whether or not it will actually change anything. He says the biggest change, which is something I didn't even consider, the biggest change is probably the fact that because they're running the hard tire in Q1, there's a very good chance you'll just have cars out there the entire time. It's not going to be one hot lap and then go.
Yes.
Because you got to warm up those tires, and they're just going to get better and better and better the more you run, because they're just not going to degrade. Whereas, the medium soft, you might see a little bit less of that. But
very good point.
Q1 could be fairly chaotic.
Especially here in a track we've seen a lot of parking. That end sector isn't great to queue up. It's really easy to get stuck in someone's way.
Yeah.
So that's a very valid point.
Very fascinating.
Yeah.
The other thing I noticed on the tires is apparently they're taking, compared to last year, they are taking a step down or step softer compound.
Softer.
So in terms of the compounds, so I think it's always been a pretty standard one-stopper here. Well, unless you start on the inters
standard
and then
one-stopper or an aggressive two-stopper.
Or start on the inters and then yes. Still my favorite. I love that. But yeah, it's fascinating. The only thing that might curtail it is, again, rain forecast. There's the potential of rain on Friday and Saturday. Sunday's supposed to be completely dry.
They're saying for Friday, it's similar to what we've had. They're saying for Friday it should be very wet. Yep. Saturday it may be a little damp, and Sunday it'll be dry. It's like the same thing we had for 4 weekends in a row.
It's literally following them, yeah.
I did look at something that was posted like 7 minutes ago, and they said it looks like Friday will be damp as all hell. So that'll also make it very interesting going into a new quali format and a race when everything is so close behind, Mr. Dominant out in front. But those are the main points I had. Look, there's a few other little things going on. Again, there's other places that will cover it if you want to know. But otherwise, I mean, we have to get on to our predictions, and we have to, of course, have a look at how we did last weekend out.
I forgot what I had a bit already.
Yeah, well, I've triple, quadruple checked it. I can maybe make it 2 weekends in a row where the math checks out. in this case, it works in your favor. So maybe if I've made a mistake, you'll actually want to keep it anyway. But yes, of course, the results we had last weekend were probably a surprise to everyone, especially as our wildcard pick was for P4. So we were both, totally off the mark there with Piastri getting it, which we're happy for, but didn't even have to think if either of us got it.
No, true.
Normally for a P13, 14, maybe we put his name there.
But, very surprising.
But yes, we still got the P1 for Max because, that's the default.
It's the free point. It's the gimme.
Yes. And you did get the P3 for Lewis as well, so good credit to you there.
I do remember putting Lewis somewhere. I just don't remember where I put him. So
So it's essentially a +2 for you, but a +1 for me. So that means I go to 21, and you are on 18.5. So close down the gap a little bit, but still got a bit of a climb to do before the mid-season break. I guess we'll see how we go. But we do need to, I guess, to our
random number.
Random roll.
Okay.
And the number will be...
I'm not confident with this one.
Don't be a bad number. 10.
Okay.
P10.
10. Last of the points finishers.
Could be anyone.
I'll say Albon.
That's a good bet. Yep.
I think I think if it was a more high-paced circuit, he could probably go higher. But I think on a circuit like this, it's very dominated by the slower speed and like downforcey things, which Williams obviously they haven't dramatically excelled at. But Albon obviously it doesn't matter to him. Like he'll just get a P10 and points anyway.
That's what I was thinking too. I immediately went, but then I went, but no, he's got very good racecraft right now. He seems very well with that car. I think the Alfa Romeo around Monaco was all right. I think some of the recent tracks it hasn't done that well.
Yeah.
So maybe if we think that they might be a bit more suited here, I reckon they deserve a point, but who do I think deserves it more out of the two of them?
They're so flip-floppy.
I know. I reckon Bottas is better at the slower stuff, and Zhao's better at maybe more the traditional circuits. So I'll go Bottas. Let's give him a point, shall we?
That's a bold call. Because I don't see.
I've got a head on bold calls before.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
See how we go.
I guess in terms of race pace, they do tend to be a bit better than say like a Haas or even an Alpha Tauri, and
that Alpine. Who knows if that's even going to last a few laps?
Who knows?
What's happening there?
Oh god, yeah.
Yes. I guess we have to get into our top 3. Do we get the what do you call it? The elephant in the room, or what's
bing
an animal known? The bing bong.
Yeah, the bing bong.
Is that what they call it?
No, it's a bing bong. Like pop it up on the screen. The bing bong, bong bing.
Oh yeah,
bing,
so I thought you were talking about some like instrument that's used in the.
No, I'm talking about the elephant from what's it called? That Inside Out. Is his name Bing Bong?
Oh yes, great. We'll pop him up instead. He's gonna win the race. Good job.
Let's go Bing Bong.
So with that out of the way, unless you. Maybe one time as a wild card, one of us has to pick a race that we think he'll falter in. Maybe we have to have that as a rule. Or maybe think about it for our mid-year chat. If we want to like say one race, you've got to pick that Max isn't going to win it.
That's okay.
Don't think of it now. We got mid-season podcast. No. Anyway, P2. So this is kind of tricky because, as you say, we're going to a track that we haven't been to this kind of configuration a bit.
Yep.
We've had a few weekends in a row, almost like the last 3 or 4 weekends, a different team has looked like the second best team, right? With the Ferrari up there doing well, and then the Mercedes doing well. The Aston before that was the one that was doing well, and now the McLaren doing well. Who the hell is P2 and P3? Do you go safe? Do you go bold?
Yep.
P2, maybe I'll go P2.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Lewis.
Okay.
I think he probably outperformed that car in the British Grand Prix, so I think he's on a bit of a roll.
Yep.
He's generally done very well here. That's why we've seen some of those really good fights back through the pack, even on an alternate strategy there. Even if I think it might, again, not be the strongest car here, based on some other, performances we've seen earlier in the year, I think he's on a bit of a really good roll right now. And I think even in a close midfield fight, they'll do well to get that car set up for him. And therefore, I think he will be best of the rest. But where have you gone?
I'm going Leclerc. I think Ferrari are...
I did not expect that. You what?
I think Ferrari are...
The dark horses?
Yeah, I think they are. I think they're a lot stronger in the slower stuff than maybe we think they are. I think, it's kind of different from their normal design philosophy, but it just feels like they come out of nowhere to get, and they're just strong again. It's like races you don't expect them to. Like,
yep.
And I feel like this could be another one where it's like no one's talking about them. People are talking about, obviously always talking about Red Bull. And it's like, oh, McLaren have come through. Oh, Mercedes is still there. And this is when, Ferrari have had a couple of races where they're not too great. And then they'll come back and, hey, we're the second fastest team again.
Yeah.
I feel like that's very, very possible for them to do. So, yeah, we'll say Leclerc. Just because I think he's stronger than Sainz. I don't know.
And their one lap pace hasn't been that bad. So they can pull it together and start up there.
Yep.
It's kind of hard to fall apart here, right? Unless you really do something wrong. If they can pull their quality together here, then they might even be a bit tricky to pass. That's a good bet.
Yep.
I didn't think about that, even though I did, as I say. I rolled the dice on them last time, and that's what helped me to get ahead of you. So maybe
I'm taking notes from you now.
You've understood the strategy. You've got it. I'm getting too complacent.
Yeah.
Yes, but I think equally as tricky then. P3. I don't know where you're going with this, but on my end, I guess I'll go.
Okay.
If Lewis isn't going to get it, well, then I think we've been talking about it the last few races, right? That green car, that Aston, that man leading that team, Mr. Alonso, we think they should be strong here. If they're not strong here, then there'd be a bit of concern to go, have they dropped the bucket a bit? These last few races, as I say, we said, everyone else said, these are probably going to be their worst races, right? Even Spa will be tricky for them. But a circuit like this, they should be back at home. They should be able to smash it out of the park. I think it might be a close-ish P2, but I think minimum podium, I'd be shocked if Alonso didn't get it without some extreme intervention, divine intervention coming through. So that's who I've gone for 3, but I have absolutely no idea who you're going to pick. It could be like 4 people right now.
Yep, it could be. I've gone for Hamilton for P3.
Okay,
yeah, back to safety. I think he's, now that car, I said it last weekend as well, now that car's found some pace. I think he's the better of the 2 Mercedes drivers, and I think if there's a chance for a podium, he'll take it wherever he can. So I think it's interesting you say Alonso. I think there's a very good chance he'll be a very close 4th. I think it's not. It's actually interesting now that I think about it. I'm thinking 4 teams in the top 4, and I think particularly 2nd, 3rd, 4th could be very, very close. But yeah, I think Mercedes, I do expect them to be a little stronger here than even at the British Grand Prix. So, but yeah, I don't know. What do I know? So,
well, I mean, you're probably just going for the same reasons I went. There's a reason I put in P2, right? Even thinking that the Aston's going to be strong. And I guess we should comment to say, I don't necessarily think the McLaren will be bad here. I think if they were as strong as they were, I wouldn't be surprised. But it is a very different circuit.
Yep.
And you can't just base it off of one weekend, right? Even with Aston being so strong at their first race out, everyone said, let's wait until maybe the 3rd race. And then everyone went, right, we've kind of got a bit of a picture here. So
exactly.
I think we need to see that again. I hope they are strong. I mean, I suspect we'll have a great battle. If that Alpha Tauri seems to be, as good as the upgrades think they are, that could then throw them up with the Alpines, which, the Alpines should be up there, but they're not. But who knows?
Haas is like their 1 lap pace is always pretty strong as well.
And and they could start up front and block everyone.
We've seen White Alonso here blocking for Ocon.
Yes, so that's true. I did see the clip for that earlier. Alonso is a legend.
You can do that. So, and I think while it may not happen, there is the potential for this changed up qualifying to really change up the starting grid as well. People that can't maybe fire up their tires quite as well might have to risk doing more and more runs in Q1, Q2.
It's very true. It's true.
We'll see how it plays out. It's still a bit kind of, it could work, but I would expect at the very least some Q1 chaos. But
certainly. Always. I think maybe before we throw it out, let's throw a 5th wildcard point in there. Let's try to predict where we think Daniel Ricciardo will finish.
Okay.
Tricky one. I didn't have a number in mind, but I'm like, we got to do this, surely.
I was depending.
I won't say points or not. I think that's right, but points or not, but we should do that. Do you think we get points or not? Let's do that. Points or not? No, I think that's too easy. All right, let's not do that. We got to do position.
Good segment.
I'm like, no.
I'll say it's hard to say because we don't know how vast those upgrades are, and because the upgrades so far this season have particularly in that like midfield, has changed the pack so rapidly and so vastly. Like, if it's such a substantial upgrade, they could just move from like basically the 10th best team to like the 3rd best
so much
team.
Potential. Yeah, they have so much potential. You don't see them as, you know, an underfunded team. You feel like this is something that they're saying is big. It could just rocket them up. They were, you know, faster than McLaren at one point, and then look what, you know. So, P13.
I was going to say 12. I actually had 12 in my head for the entire time. Like, I'll just say P12.
12 and 13. That's a safe.
Yeah,
safe
I don't know that they'll have enough just yet for points. I think they're still a bit off that. I think Yuki has he's probably outdriven the car, and he's been in it for a while now, so he's gotten used to it. I still think Ricciardo is going to take a little while to get. Maybe not a little while, but it's still going to take him some time to get used to it, particularly coming from
especially at a technical track, and at a technical track like this as well. You think it's going to be quite tricky as well.
Yeah,
so. But anyway, we've gone on for enough, as we say. This should be an exciting weekend, so make sure you are tuning in and keeping an eye on the socials, because I'm sure there'll be plenty more news that will come out as well as we ramp up for the Grand Prix. But otherwise, that'll do us for now. We'll be back afterwards to debrief all the drama and everything going on for the Hungarian Grand Prix. But in the meantime, let us know how you think Ricciardo will do, what you think of it, and enjoy the weekend, everyone. We'll catch you next time.
Cool. Take care. Bye.